Simone de Beauvoir was born in 1908 to an upper-middle-class family, but that privilege largely dissipated after her grandfather went bankrupt. Beauvoir's father was determined that both she and her sister would get an education and become self-supporting.
And this was quite distinct, obviously, when compared to other bourgeois upbringings.
Bradley Stevens from the University of Bristol is an expert in French literature and history.
Women were expected to marry, to make a good marriage, and to go on and become good wives and mothers. Simone de Beauvoir, of course, didn't follow this path.
Beauvoir was one of the first women to get a degree from the Sorbonne. Later, as a young woman in the 1930s, she taught philosophy. And then in 1939, World War II hits Europe like a hammer. The Nazis occupy France.
More than 3/5 of their country was to be blacked out by a military occupation. The remainder was to be controlled by a French government acceptable to Hitler. A tax of 400 million francs a day was to be imposed on the French people to support the German army of occupation.
The war years are hard on Beauvoir, both personally and materially. Her apartment is so cold that she writes from cafes. Oh, and of course, the war separates Beauvoir from her lifelong companion, Jean-Paul Sartre, and her lover, Jacques-Laurent Bost. Both go off with the army.
And this separation from two very important men in her life left her at once vulnerable, but also acutely aware of her own independence and her own ideas.
Around this time, Beauvoir also begins an ill-fated love affair with a female ex-student that ends up bringing down her teaching career.
It's very easy with Simone de Beauvoir for us to focus on what has, over the years, been revealed to be an increasingly colourful personal life, her intimate relationships with both men and women.
But of course, Simone de Beauvoir should not simply be defined by her unconventional romantic liaisons.
Because she had a very rich social network that she helped shape and generate during this period. She was great friends, for example, with the artist Giacometti and also with Cocteau, this very mythic, very irresistible image of a generation of great creativity.
Through it all, Beauvoir and Sartre were incredibly close. They weren't just partners. They read together, traveled together, and according to Beauvoir's autobiography, there was only one night in their decades-long relationship where they even disagreed. While Sartre was an existentialist philosopher, Beauvoir saw herself more as a writer.
This mantle of philosopher is one that comes loaded with a certain cultural capital, this image of a patriarchal male white class.
Beauvoir wrote novels and autobiographies so her thoughts would be more accessible to women of all classes. And then her book, The Second Sex, comes out. It's instantly popular and considered very scandalous.
Être femme, ce n'est pas une donnée naturelle.
Being a woman is not a natural fact. It's the result of a certain history. There's no biological or physiological or psychological destiny that defines a woman as such. She's the product of history, civilization, first of all, which has resulted in her current status.
Chaque femme particulière.
Beauvoir's assertion that women can reclaim their social privilege and power and be equal to men rightly threatens the patriarchy.
And so you have Albert Camus saying to her in private, this essay makes French men look weak. You've got François Mauriac, the famous novelist, saying that this essay is borderline pornography. But the book sells 20,000 copies in the first week.
The Second Sex raised eyebrows, but it also cemented Simone de Beauvoir's status as a feminist philosopher. Beauvoir died in 1986. Her funeral was held 6 years to the day after Sartre's, and she was buried alongside him in Paris. Bradley Stevens says whenever he visits Beauvoir's grave, he sees flowers, metro tickets, cigarettes, and letters.
It's borderline mythic, and she would always warn us against the temptation to mythologize and idealize somebody's life or their reputation. Nonetheless, I think it's undeniable to say that Simone de Beauvoir is certainly one of the most important French writers of the 20th century. She is undeniably one of its great women.
For Philosophy Talk, I'm Caitlin Esch.